Today, we will go through some facts about the moon. We will be using footages from NASA to help us understand the moon's revolution around the Earth and its own rotation. We will be reviewing the different phases of the moon. We will look at various landings of the Apollo missions. Let's get started. Let me tell you some facts. The moon was formed 4.5 billion years ago. The Earth slammed into an early planet and debris broke off and orbited the Earth. Gradually, the chunks formed the moon. Did you know? The moon is the fifth biggest satellite in the solar system. The diameter of the moon is roughly 3,500 kilometers, which is similar to the width of China. Now for the fun part. Let's take a look at the surface of the moon. This visualization shows the moon phase at hourly intervals throughout 2022, as viewed from the northern hemisphere. The simulation spans from January the 1st, 2022 to the end of the year. Here are Apollo missions landing sites on the moon. There are a total of 6 missions which landed humans on the moon, beginning with Apollo 11 in July 1969, during which Neil Armstrong became the first person to walk on the moon. Apollo 13 was intended to land. Unfortunately, there was a malfunction on the spacecraft and the crew had to return. That's why there's no Apollo 13 landing site listed on the moon. The moon revolves around the Earth every 27.322 days, or 27 days and 8 hours. The moon also rotates along its own axis at the same amount of time. This is different than the moon phase, which we'll cover later in the video. Let's take a look at the simulation. We are starting the revolution on January the 1st, midnight. 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. Okay? Take a look at the bottom right of the screen where my cursor is. So we expect to finish this revolution on January the 28th, 8 a.m. Pay attention to the moon's position with respect to the Earth. Look at the left of your screen where my cursor is. Are you ready? Let's play this out. So we'll pause on January the 28th, 8 a.m. It may be not perfect, but you get the idea. 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Okay, so it's not exactly 8 a.m., but you see that the moon has completed one revolution around the Earth. Okay, feel free to rewind and watch the simulation again, if it helps you to understand. So moving forward, the moon revolves on its own axis in the same amount of time, 27 days and 8 hours. For that reason, people on Earth can only see the same side of the moon. Let's see in the simulation. Notice that there's a blue line on the moon where my cursor is. As the moon revolves and rotates, people on Earth are looking at the same side of the moon. Let's try this out. See where my cursor is at? Even though the moon is rotating on its own, but because it rotates at the same frequency as it revolves around the Earth, people are also looking at the same side of the moon. See it for yourself. The side of the moon facing the Earth is called the near side. The back of the moon, which people on Earth never see, is called the far side. So when you look at the moon, the shape of the moon changes. What causes that? The moon is basically a giant ball of rock hanging right in front of Earth. The moon's surface is pretty dark, with about the same reflectivity as asphalt. Because the moon is hanging in space, only half of the moon can be illuminated by the sun. The phase of the moon refers to what the moon looks like to us. That changes depending on how much the moon is illuminated by the sun. Here are the 8 stages of the moon. We start off with new moon. You cannot see anything. The sun is shining on the other side of the moon. That's why you can't see anything. There is actually a big chunk of rock in front of you, but you can't see it. Just like staring at a forest at night. You can't see anything, but that doesn't mean that there aren't trees in front of you. We have the waxing crescent. It looks like a banana. Then we have first quarter. It looks like a half for you, but it's actually the first quarter because there's the other side, which you can't see. Then we have a waxing gibbous. It's almost like a full moon, but a little less. Then we have the full moon. Next, we have the waning gibbous. Then we have the last quarter. And we have the waning crescent. And we're back to new moon. And the cycle all begins again. Let's take a look at this simulation. We start off with new moon. Pay attention to the bottom right, where the phase is. We start off with 0 days. Let's start. We see there's a glimmer of light, and we are in 3 days. This is a waxing crescent. And then we move on to the first quarter. This is the first quarter of the cycle. It's 6 days. Then we go to here, which is the waxing gibbous. Then here we are at the full moon. We are 16 days in, so we're roughly half the cycle. Then the shadow starts eating away our moon. We call this a waning gibbous. This is the last quarter. We are in 23 days. This is a waning crescent. We are 25 days in. We're almost finished. Now we are at 29 days and 7 hours. We're back to new moon. I am gonna rerun the simulation for 2022. This is all we have to cover for today. If this video is useful to you in any way, please consider subscribing and liking. Enjoy! Bye!